I've got two things to go over with all of you. We're going to start here, though. Both of these stories connect, and this is a good way to start it. So the creator of Gundam had some words to say about Disney. He says, anime must not repeat Disney's worst mistake. He calls Disney boring and depressing in an interview that he did recently, and it's pretty funny. Now, one thing that we've seen a little bit as of late is a lot of properties from Japan coming over to America and doing pretty well, actually. Godzilla -1 is doing really well over here. In fact, just recently, it was announced that it's actually made more money over here in America than it has in Japan, which is pretty impressive because Japan is the target audience, but it's made more money over here. It's wild. It's made a ton of money, actually, because guess what? That movie, we have no idea how much it costs to make, but we know it costs less than $15 million. The director of the movie came out and said, oh, I wish we had that much money. When he was asked about that, did you have $15 million? He had less than that. We have no idea how much they actually spent on it. We may never know, but we know it costs less than $15 million. And you take that into consideration when looking at the garbage that Hollywood is slopping out there, just throwing out there. Nobody wants it. It costs hundreds of millions of dollars. You have movies that need to make almost $1 billion sometimes to make a profit. Meanwhile, Japan pumping out good shit all the time for cheap prices. You know why that is? Because Japan knows how to still tell a good story. And they have something for everybody. There's even stories over there that have focus on, LGBT content and a lot of woke stuff. But they also have stuff that tells the traditional hero's journey, is good storytelling, something for everybody. You can usually find over in Japan. That's why a lot of their stuff's coming over here, and that's why Hollywood has now shifted their eyes over to Japan, because they say, well, look at this stuff. It's doing well. We can bring it over here cheap. And they usually can. A little licensing fee, and then can bring stuff over here. But when they modernize it, it doesn't do well. Take, for example, the Cowboy Bebop Netflix show. That was a disaster. But look at what happens when they have to listen to the Japanese creator. You get stuff like One Piece. But let's come back to that, because there is a concern that Hollywood is going to try to change Japan. In fact, there's a big Hollywood Reporter story on it. But this is why they want to go over there, because you have them openly mocking Disney, saying Disney is a boring company. The creator of Gundam did an interview with fullfrontal.mo, and he believes that anime is in a golden age of sorts that could be easily destroyed if the industry were to follow the footsteps of Disney. The veteran creator believed modern Disney is the result of when animation loses heart, and criticized its transition from hand-drawn to digital. He labeled Disney's latest films as depressing and boring, and explained that these poor results are likely due to their production goals. The Gundam creator asserted that Bandai Namco Filmworks, who handles the Gundam series, is already picking up on Disney's bad practices, what with it attempting larger projects whilst straying away from traditional animation. Empty blockbusters without any personality is how he described Disney as a brand. And he explained that creators must be permitted to experiment, while executives like producers have to get their hands dirty when developing a project. Many have negatively criticized Disney, and it's because Disney sucks. But it's funny, and he probably said all of this in the nicest way possible, because Japanese people are very polite. But it's always fun to see, legendary Japanese creators come out and say stuff like this, and there's no doubt, like, this guy is a legend. He created Gundam. Gundam is a masterpiece of storytelling. So This is the first story. The other story is this one. This is from the Hollywood Reporter. Why Japan is on the precipice of a content boom. It's a very long article. I'm not going to read all of this. I'm just going to give you a little bit of the summary here. And that's that Japan is doing well. With the country's entertainment sector in the midst of a creative renaissance, streaming giants are investing heavily in a market that has plenty of room for growth. There has never been more global curiosity and love for Japanese culture. It's probably because they make good stories. They make good stuff. You're seeing this everywhere. They've conquered the American comic book industry. The American comic book industry is practically dead. And that's because everyone's jumped over to manga. Why have they done that? Because everything in the American comics is woke. Minus maybe what? A handful of titles? It's all the same creatively bankrupt political ideologues stuffing their bullshit into their books. Hollywood doing the same thing. Look at the Hollywood box office this year and last year. Nobody is going to the movies anymore. Why is that? Because they have no faith at all in the Hollywood product. And it's only going to get worse, ladies and gentlemen. So now what are they doing? Okay, well, we'll go get these Japanese IPs. And sometimes, like I said at the beginning of the video, they do it right. One Piece. The Netflix live-action adaptation of One Piece is a masterpiece. I enjoyed it. It got me into the anime. I'm on like episode 200 now. Why is that? Because I watched that. I always kind of shrugged it off. Doesn't look like it's for me. Didn't want to get into it. Here's this little 8-episode series. Everyone's praising it. Watched it. Fell in love with it. Started watching the anime. Now I'm loving that. When you do it right, the source material benefits from things like that. The American comic book movies, peak of pop culture. The American comics didn't benefit at all. Did not benefit at all. A little bit at the start, but then things went off the rails because the American comic book people decided to use the popularity of the movies to push their agenda. Because when you went and watched Iron Man 3, wow, whoa, Tony Stark, I'd like to see what he's doing in the comics. Let me go to the comic book shop and pick up this new Tony Stark Iron Man comic. I want to see what he's doing in the comics. Oh, no, he's dead. What? Riri Williams, a teenage black girl, is now playing Iron Man. And then they never came back. They never came back. And it's not just that book. That's just the best example to use. There was a time when all of those big characters were dead in the modern comics or retired or they lost their powers and somebody else picked up the mantle. I could make 10, 15, 20 videos just going over the history of all of this shit. But my point is, American entertainment is dying. And this used to be our biggest export. The world loved American stuff, and now it's switching to Korea and Japan. Now they're the biggest exporters of entertainment. And it's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger as time goes on because they don't have people holding political ideologue guns to their head. And when they do tell political stories, they do it like they used to do over here. They do it with a little bit of grace and talent. They actually make a story that people will listen to despite any messaging that's in it. That's what these idiots don't understand when we say, you know, oh, this is too political or it has this and that. It's because these people put the political messaging first. Then the story comes second. Over in Japan, the story comes first. Now, this could change. As more money comes in from outside of Japan, more money is rolling in from outside Japan, left and right. I think now anime and stuff, I think there's more money coming in from outside of Japan than they're making in Japan. And that brings problems. That brings foreigners in to start saying, you know, maybe make those boobs a little bit smaller. Maybe don't show a little bit of fan service here. Maybe walk this back. Oh, we don't like that. Over in America, we do this. And then you can start to see some of that influence. But that's why you have creators like, I don't even want to try to say his name, But you have these legendary Japanese creators coming out and saying, listen, we got to watch for this. We don't want this to happen to us. Don't go down this road. You know, it's going to depend on them to kind of hold the line. But at least for a while, we're going to get a lot of good entertainment from here. How long that lasts or if that changes, I don't know. But it's shifting. You're going to see a lot of problems in Hollywood. It looks like Warner might be going bankrupt. That's a possibility that could happen. You're about to see a lot of dominoes fall over in Hollywood, and it's their own fault. They have been so infected with these cancel pigs that I don't think that they can change and get things back. Like, there's too much rot in these companies now. Way too much. But make no mistake, they are going to try and go in there and make some changes eventually. Won't be right away, and it will be gradual, but it is for sure going to happen. You're already kind of seeing it with the video game developers because a lot of them embraced ESG. A lot of them embraced ESG, so it could happen everywhere. You know, like Square Enix, the Final Fantasy people, they have like an ethics department now, and they are influential from the start of a production. So it is a thing that's happening. Anyway, that's pretty much it. Let me know what you guys think about all of this. I'd like to hear from you in the comments. Also, if you would, please like, subscribe, share the video. Make sure you're still subscribed. Hit that notification bell. Check out my Rumble and Locals, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace. Make sure to check out my Locals. There's a link in the description. It's a fun community that I'm trying to build over here. If you don't want to support me on YouTube, you can come over here. None of that money goes to YouTube. You also can just come over here for free. But if you are a supporter over here, I do plan on doing an extra live stream once a month and throwing links to the supporters so you can actually come on and have a supporter live stream with me. Also, it's a good place to catch all of my content. You don't have to worry about notifications like YouTube. They'll definitely work over here. So come check out my Locals.